As usual, we'll keep ourselves unmuted as we center, and then we'll mute everyone once class begins. And so if you've been seated for a little while cross-legged, I invite you to switch that cross of your legs, bringing the opposite leg in front. I'm going to give myself a little tilt here. There we go. And let's begin this morning. Really want to do a nice grounding practice this morning. So let's begin with your hands on your lap, on your knees, or maybe even on the ground. So just this idea of rooting down. And it might feel comfortable to bring your chin slightly inwards. Let your eyes close. And just notice here where your body meets the ground. Just beginning here to breathe more deeply. And with each exhale, invite a softening, a loosening. Sometimes we aren't aware of all the stress that we're holding in our body until it just starts to release. So take a few conscious breaths here. And perhaps inviting your exhales to be slightly longer than your inhales. We'll be working here into our lower two chakras, those chakras associated with the colors red and orange. And so you might envision here as you breathe, breathing in either of those two colors, or perhaps a combination of those two colors. And breathing out, focusing on that lengthened exhale and that invitation to soften. And just feeling your seats getting heavier and heavier here. Good, and here releasing any visualization you might have been holding. And connecting now with your intention for your practice this morning. And sometimes our intentions can be pretty complex, trying to work through the issues of the world or the moment. And sometimes it could be really simple, just trying to stretch. And if no special intention here comes to mind for you, I'll invite you to use my intention for the day, which is practice for the sake of practice. Just doing the thing, staying committed, staying on the path. So when you find your intention, let's draw both hands to Anjali Mudra. Let your chin lift. And we'll take the sound of Om together to set and seal our individual intentions and to support each other's intentions. As you're ready, nice inhale. Om. Nice big inhale here. And as you exhale, release your chin back inwards. Cup your kneecaps with your hands. Let your eyes gently open as we lift our gaze. And we'll take this movement just into an easy rotation. So circling the hips here. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. I'm just going through muting everyone. Of course, if a question comes up, feel free to wave at me. And the next time you come towards the back of your circle, pause a moment at this back arc and then switch your rotation. So rotating in the opposite direction. And just getting here to join your breath with your movement. So really allowing your inhale to guide your body forward, exhale backwards. And as we move here, just noticing if there's any areas of tension, of tenderness, anything that we need to pay a little bit more attention to. Good. Bring yourself to a nice long spine here. Let's release our knees upwards. Knees upwards. And if, like me, you began class seated on anything, I'll just invite you to shift that out of the way. So bring your body fully to the ground here. Let's reach underneath our right leg, grab for your left ankle and draw your left ankle towards your right hip. So just shift that underneath. And then we'll draw our lifted ankle, so our lifted knee, right knee in, either directly in here or crossing. So beginning with a simple twist this morning. Keep your knee pointing up, foot connecting down. Keep hugging now the right knee in with your left hand. Sweep your right fingertips up to the sky. Nice big inhale here. As you exhale, twist towards your knee. So right hand's going to come behind your body. Gaze over your back shoulder. And just breathing deeply here. Feeling into your body. And just noticing what might be present. Good. On an inhale, extend those right fingertips back up to the sky. Rotate your body back towards center. Use your exhale, soften your right arm down. If you've crossed here, uncross that right foot over the left knee, and we'll invite the left knee once more to point up to the ceiling. And we'll take the other side. So reaching beneath your left knee, grab for your right ankle, draw that right heel by your left hip, and then drag the opposite knee directly inward, keeping the legs uncrossed if that's comfortable, or taking that cross, bringing the sole of your foot to the ground on the opposite side of your lower knee. Good. Nice and tall here. Nice long spine. Use your right hand, hug your left knee and sweep the left fingertips up. Nice big inhale, and then exhale, twist towards your knee. Bring that left hand behind your body, plugging into the ground. Gaze over your back shoulder. Easy breath here. Good. On an inhale, stretch your left fingers to the sky. Rotate yourself back forward, and then we'll exhale, left hand down. Unwind your knees here and find yourself on your hands and your knees. So coming to your hands and your knees, option always for using that blanket or towel as extra padding beneath your knees. I'm not going to do that. I've got some carpet underneath here. I'm going to switch so I can see you guys a little better. There we go. So hands and knees, option to give your knees a little extra support. And let's find our Chakravarkasana here. So inhale, drop your belly forward, pull your eyes upwards. Use your exhale, press into your hands and knees around the center of your spine. Then just moving here with your breath. So nice arching spine as you inhale, lifted gaze. Exhale, really pressing, rounding here. Drop the weight of your head down. And let your own breath be your guide here. Good. Bring your body now to a neutral spine. If the toes have been curled under, you could keep them curled under. If your low back is feeling a little sensitive this morning, keep your toes curled under. Otherwise, we'll uncurl the toes. Send your hips towards your heels. Take it into a child's pose. So knees might draw inwards, might stretch towards the outer edges of your mat. I'm keeping mine just about in between, so neither touching nor reaching away from each other. And just here, press your fingertips into the ground. Let that action press your hips further back towards your heels. Now, if you find your low back really sensitive here, go ahead, take that option of curling your toes under. That'll decrease the curve that we're requesting of your lumbar spine here. And let your head settle into the support beneath you. And just rock your head side to side. So resting on this point just between and above the brows can just soften your head side to side, releasing here. It's a nice little massage for the forehead. And use your next inhale. We'll release the palms down to the ground, stretch your body back upwards onto our tabletop position, still using that support beneath your knees if that makes you feel better, or even if your knees are getting sore, go ahead and grab that. So we're going to be on the knees for a little bit longer here. Good, so here, if they're not already, let's curl your toes under, invite your knees to come hips width distance apart. We'll inhale, bring your right knee in towards your chest. Exhale, stretch that heel outwards. Inhale here, get nice and long. Press through your back heel, stretch forward through the crown of your head. Exhale, draw your knee in. Good, so we'll inhale here, pressing out, and then just sinking up with your breath. So the exhale is drawing in, tucking your chin in. Inhale is lengthening. And that heel, when you kick backwards, could come as high or as low as makes sense for your body. Next time you kick back, let's pause here. Keep that back leg lifted, gaze down. Let's squeeze your muscles in towards your midline. Cross your lifted leg towards the left side of your mat. Lower your toes down. Bring your gaze over the left shoulder. Find a pulsing here, forwards and backwards. So right toes plugging into the ground and the left side of the mat, just pulsing here. Good, we'll inhale, lift your right toes up, draw your leg towards center, settle your right knee onto the ground, and then invite both inner edges of your knees and thighs towards each other. Inner edges of your knees and thighs towards each other. Option to uncurl your toes here if they've been curled under. And we'll just bring the hips into a little tick-tock side to side. So as the hips come side to side, gaze comes over the opposite shoulder. So we're just working into our hips, very deeply into our hips this morning, coming at them from a number of different ways. And so physically, this is good. Tight hips can lead to back pain, especially low back pain. Sciatica is a common complaint of those with tighter hips. And energetically, the hips are just a really nice way to release stress, release tension. So let's bring ourselves back into our neutral tabletop. So from our neutral tabletop, hands are beneath the shoulders, knees beneath our hips. Curling your toes under for a little extra stability here. This time, left leg will rise up. Good, use an exhale, draw your knee inward. Tuck your chin as if you're gonna bring your knee to your nose. And then we'll inhale here, lengthen. Taking another breath here, draw your muscles in towards the midline. So avoid the urge to kind of, and I'm exaggerating here, but kind of dump into that side of your body with two limbs down. So really want to try to keep ourselves as even as possible here. Another big inhale here, and then exhale, knee coming in. Let this just begin to sync up with your breath. So we're inhaling long, exhaling, drawing inward. Next time you inhale long, let's pause here. So again, find that drawing in towards center sensation. Cross your left leg towards the right side of your mat. Lower your toes down to the ground. Draw your gaze over that right shoulder and just begin to pulse here, forwards and backwards. Good. Bring yourself back towards center. Settle both knees onto the ground, snuggling in, knee to knee, thigh to thigh. So 0 thigh gap happening here. And we'll just begin to tick-tock our hips side to side, coming back to that little dropping hips to one side, gaze to the opposite. Good. Bring yourself back towards center here, and we'll transition to your back body. So bring yourself through kneeling all the way onto your back here. As you come to your back, keep your knees pointing up towards the ceiling. And here we'll invite the right leg in, right knee coming in. Interlace your fingers either in front of your right knee or behind, whichever is most comfortable for you, and allows for you to keep your shoulder blades and your head in the ground. So we don't want to pull the shoulders away from the ground. Okay, lost you guys for a minute there. I lost my microphone. So hands here, interlace on the knee. We'll just begin to move our knee side to side laterally. So just rocking here into the right hip. Good. Pausing this moment, this side to side lateral movement. Let's begin to cross your right ankle over your left, and then we'll come back to that side to side lateral movement. So still rocking into the right hip, just bringing that into different areas. So hands here could be resting on your belly like me, could be down by your side. So we might stay with this movement. If this is what serves you on this side, go ahead and stay here. If you'd like to go deeper into the right hip, still this rocking movement, lift your left knee up. Take that option of interlacing your hands either behind your left thigh or in front of the left knee. So for me, it feels best to keep that left leg straight. My right hip is feeling a little tender this morning. So that's the easiest variation of this pose is left leg straight. A little more strong is to bend the left knee in, but keep your hands behind the left thigh. And stronger still is taking that variation of interlacing your hands in front of your left knee. And so just honor wherever you are. When you find your space, breathe into it. Might close your eyes. You might come back to that visualization here. So hips pretty strongly in that second chakra area. So maybe breathing in the color orange. Maybe breathing in the color red. Anything that speaks to you here, breathing deeply, staying present. And on an exhale, we'll gently begin to release that left leg if it's been lifted here. Uncross your right ankle. Walk both feet to the outer edges of your yoga mat. And we'll just Keep our feet wide as you windshield wiper the knees side to side here. So really use up that full space of your mat. And the next time both knees here are pointed to the left, we'll pause here. Might even press into your feet, shift your hips slightly to the right as the knees come to the left. So you might stay here, feet nice and wide, or you might play with how it feels to take that left heel and rest it on top of the right knee. That'll feel good for some folks, won't feel good for others. So if you try it and it just doesn't feel right, go ahead and bring that foot back down to the ground. You might even take this into a nice little twist, rotating your eyes away from your knees, so eyes looking to the right, maybe stretching that right arm out to the side, anything that feels good here. Nice deep breathing. Good. And here, if your left leg is lifted, let's lower that left foot back to the ground. And we'll use an inhale to guide both knees back towards center. Walk your feet in if you took them wide. And here, we'll bring the opposite knee inward. So left knee is going to come in. Go ahead and support that knee either behind your thigh or in front of your knee. And we'll just come to that easy lateral movement. So move your knee side to side. And you'll notice here as we work into our second hip, might feel different, probably does feel different than the first hip. Usually we have differences in mobility side to side. We tend to favor one hip over another, which means the muscles and tendons will be a little more available to us on one side, a little tighter on the other. So just really tuning in, notice how this hip feels. And stay present. So we don't want to automatically go where we did on the other side, just noticing. So we'll begin to still this movement here. Cross your ankle over the right knee, and we'll take that lateral movement here. So rocking into your right foot, keep that ankle over knee. Right foot stays firmly on the ground as we begin here, just checking in. This might be exactly the stretch that you need on this hip. Breathing deeply, staying present. Good. So if this is the stretch you need, go ahead and stay here. If you'd like more, bring your right knee in. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh or in front of your right knee. Again, rule of thumb is you want your shoulders in the back of your head to stay on the ground wherever we are. And here we'll come to your breath, maybe inviting in that visualization of a color, the color red or the color orange. Seeking that slightly longer exhale. And connecting perhaps with this sensation of loosening, of opening. Good. Let your next exhale release your right foot to the ground, uncross your left ankle, walk your feet now to the outer edges of your mat, and we'll come back to that windshield wiping sensation of our knees coming side to side, wide feet, and knees just resting side to side here. And then we'll take this into our wide-footed twist. So the next time both knees are pointing to the left, we'll stay there. Maybe lift your hips, shift your hips to the right to create the space for your knees to come to the left. I'm sorry, we did knees to the left last time. So it would be knees to the right, hips to the left. That felt a little bit too familiar. Hopefully you caught on faster than I did. And so maybe staying here, maybe feet wide, both knees to the right, maybe taking that right foot, resting it on top of your top knee. So right foot to the left knee. Again, release that if you try it and it just doesn't serve you. And you might keep your head forward and center looking up, might rotate to look away from your knees, looking towards the left. And just breathing deeply here. And so it can have a very nourishing, energetic sensation as we work into our hips. And so just stay present with your breath. Present with this idea of giving yourself exactly what you need in any moment. And if you do have that right ankle crossed over your left knee, go ahead, release your right foot to the ground. Use an inhale, guide your body back towards center. And when you come towards center, we'll bring both knees into your chest. Plant your hands on the front of your knees and just begin to rock side to side. So rocking into the low back. Staying with this idea of nourishment, of taking care, giving yourself a little massage with this rocking motion. And so if this is uncomfortable for you, always the option to take that blanket or towel, lay it underneath your body. So we're going to come to stillness here. Keep a hold of your knees. We're just going to separate your knees until they're about arms hip width distance apart. We're really going to hug your knees in as much as you're able to here. So hugging the knees in. Here's option one. Option two is we're going to work towards our happy baby pose. So as we come to happy baby, you're going to keep that deep bend in your knees, but send the soles of your feet pointing up to the ceiling. So happy baby, I'm holding behind my knees. That's a nice way to access happy baby if it's less comfortable to reach upwards. So another option is you can reach up towards your ankles or up to grab the outer edges of your feet, really inviting each knee to point in towards your armpits here. Rule of thumb is you do want your shoulders and your head to be able to rest easily on the ground. So take whichever of these variations, holding behind your thighs, holding onto your legs, or maybe grabbing onto the feet here. And as we come to whichever variation of happy baby we choose, let's go back to that idea of rocking side to side. So just giving now the mid back, maybe still the low back, little massage here. Just taking all these variations, working into our hips this morning. Nice deep breathing wherever you are. Good. Might stay here rocking side to side, or might feel nice to bring the soles of your feet towards each other, open your knees away from each other. Essentially a little reclining butterfly, just a little different than we do this normally. So feet up in this reclining butterfly rather than feet and knees down. So breathing here, if you choose to be here, might still keep that rocking side to side. Good. Releasing your feet here. If you have the feet, draw your knees in towards each other. Hug your knees in here. We're going to bring ourselves up to a seat, and there's two ways we could do that. Option one is we'll roll to one side, use your top arm, press your body up to a seat. Option two is you might roll the length of your spine, create a little bit of momentum, and bring yourself up into a seat. Either way, we're all going to find our ways up into a seat at the top of our mat, and then back onto our hands and our knees. I love it with this cameras on. All I can see is everybody's empty rooms, it looks like, when we're all down in a mat. So let's go ahead and give yourself some blanket here. So even if you didn't use blanket for your knees earlier, I want you to use them here because we're going to get a little bit more into the knees. I want to make sure that nobody's knees are uncomfortable. So coming back into hands and knees, we're going to settle hands beneath our shoulders, knees beneath the hips, feet are curled under here. And working here a little more intensely now into the hips. So draw your right knee in and then out, right? And then in. So it's just opening and closing this door. So we can inhale, open, exhale, close. Good. The next time you find that right knee hovering, let's lower your right knee down to the ground. We'll do that same movement left side. So inhale, open, exhale, close. Good. Go ahead, lower that left knee down to the ground. So here we're going to play a little bit into our frog pose. Frog is not something we practice all the time. So if you don't remember it, that's okay. We're going to walk through it. What I'm going to suggest is take your 1 or your 2 yoga blocks, settle it underneath your elbows. You're going to bring the elbows to your yoga blocks. Keep your toes curled under and just begin to bring your knees wider than your yoga mat. If, like me, your blanket isn't quite wide enough, go ahead and set it up to be wider. So I want you guys to have some blanket support on the sides of your yoga mat. So elbows are on our block or blocks, knees are wider. Now, as your knees begin to become wider than a yoga mat, you're going to send the inside edge, so the big toe edge of your foot to the ground. You can envision frog legs, which is what this pose is named for. So the weight is beginning to come to the inner edges of the knees. Hips are sinking down. Now, if your hips are sinking down too much, just draw those knees closer in together. So what the idea here is we're slowly opening. We're kind of using that idea of slick yoga pants against a blanket to invite the sensation of sliding, right? And so it's a slower opening here. So taking whichever variation here works for you today. Now, if it feels good, you can release that block from beneath your elbows, lower your elbows down here. And we're just breathing deeply. This is a really classic hatha yoga class today, very classic in that we're holding these poses, we're breathing into them. We're allowing our bodies to experience the energetic benefits, the physical benefits, the mental benefits, just through this hold, through this longer breath. Okay, we're very slowly going to begin to come out of this. It's a very deep stretch. So just begin to press into your elbows, draw your knees towards each other, plant your hands on the ground, scoot that block out of the way if we've been using it. You can leave that blanket support beneath the knees. It's not going to get in the way for this next shape. Take an inhale, stretch your left fingertips up to the ceiling, use an exhale, thread your left hand through, bring your left cheek either to the ground if it comes easily there, or grab a block, let that block be a little pillow for you, resting your left hand or left cheek and head on the ground. Breathing deeply here. So right hand is going to come in front of your nose, elbow's going to stay pointing up to the sky. This is our phase 1 thread the needle pose. You might stay exactly here. You might take the variation of curling your right toes under, walking your right toes directly out to the right. So it's a straight line from your right hip, right knee, right heel, toes pressing down, heel stretching up. Third option is drop your right heel down, walk your right toes forward, hook your right big toe with your left fingertips. All of these are flourishes, okay? So the basic pose could be both knees down. You don't need to get all the flourishes to get the full benefits of this shape. And last option is maybe that right hand wants to come up and away from the ground, wrapping behind your back, grabbing a hold of the left thigh. Find your breath wherever you are in our thread the needle. Good. On an inhale, if your right hand is behind your back, settle that hand back in front of your nose. If you've hooked your big toe with your left fingers, release that. Draw your right knee inwards and then press into your right hand. Stretch those left fingertips all the way up to the sky. And then settle your left hand beneath your left shoulder. Let's take a single round here of our Chakrabakasana. Use an inhale, arch into your spine. Exhale, round here. Drop the weight of your head down. And we'll set ourselves up for the other side. I'm going to turn around just because I don't have space. You can stay right where you are. So here, right fingertips stretch up. Big inhale. Exhale, thread your right hand through. Bring the right cheek to the ground or to a block here. Just settle here. So just as our hips are not used symmetrically, neither are our shoulders. And so we take a few breaths here just to allow your body to settle into the shape that you probably don't do outside of yoga. Noticing here what you might need. If you'd like to go further, go ahead, curl now the left toes under, walk that left heel straight line outwards. So hip, knee, heel reaching outwards, just like the kickstand on a bike. Maybe we'll drop the left heel, walk the toes forward, hook your left big toe with the right fingertips. Breathing here, checking in with each variation that we choose. And maybe that hand in front of the nose wants to wrap behind the back, taking a hold maybe of the right thigh. So breathing deeply, finding the variation that serves you, then just go inwards. Might even close your eyes. Really let your awareness focus on your breath. And so part of our practice is certainly stretching and strengthening, releasing held tension and stress in the body. Another big part of our practice is just remembering that we can breathe when we're in different situations. And so using this practice on the mat to gain skills that we can then apply off the mat in our everyday. And if your hand is behind your back, let's go ahead and send that hand once more in front of your nose, releasing your big toe if you have it. Let's draw your knee inwards and then press into your supporting hand. Stretch the right fingertips back up. And then settle your right hand down here, taking a single round cat and cow. Nice inhale, arcing, looking upwards. Exhale, round into your spine. Look back towards your belly button, back towards your knees. Then bring yourself neutral, looking directly down to the ground, spine straight. And we'll bring both elbows down to the ground here. Moving towards our dolphin pose, we could keep forearms and palms flat onto the ground or interlace your hands here. Keep your elbows pressing down. Maybe lift your gaze upwards. Toes are curled under. And so here's option 1. Option 2 is press into your toes. Lift your hips up and back just as you would for downward dog. So pressing your weight here into your hips, into your heels. Maybe, if it feels good, walk your toes ever so slightly forward, bringing a little bit more weight and awareness into the shoulders. My gaze is backwards. That feels good for me. Maybe you prefer to take that gaze forward, lifting your chin upward. Let's all begin to lower our knees down if they're not low already. Press your palms upwards. Bring yourself to a tall kneeling position here. Nice tall kneeling position. Here's another place where you might want to give yourself some extra support, a blanket beneath your knees as they come to our tall kneeling. Roll your shoulders backwards here. Draw the inner edges of your elbows towards each other. And if your low back here is prone to pain, maybe separate your knees slightly wider than hips width distance here. So knees might come slightly wider. And so inner elbows begin to draw towards each other. Press your hips forward. Begin to lengthen your upper body. Lean into your hands. Lift your heart. Lift your gaze. And then come forward. So just playing with some little baby camels here. So we're inhaling, arcing the front body, leaning into the back body, and exhaling forward. So you could do that hands in the hips as they are, or you might bring your hands just beneath the bum to the high thighs. We're going to keep these little camels here, not going to go into full camel. So lifting your front body, pressing your hips forward. And then bringing yourself back. Nice long spine. Good. Go ahead and send your hands back to the ground. Here now, we're going to release any blanket from beneath your knees. We're going to need that forward. So go ahead, take your blanket or towel. Give it a nice little fold several times. You want to make a pretty nice little width of blanket and just set that to the side. We're going to use that in a moment. Good. From our hands and our knees, we're going to invite the right knee in between both hands. We're going to scoot the right foot towards the left side of the mat, angle the knee towards the right, and then curl your back toes under, lengthen that back leg nice and long behind you, lower your back knee to the ground. So we're coming here into king pigeon pose. As we come here, we're going to take this roll of towel or blanket that we made and just slip it underneath your right thigh. So what we're looking for is we want to feel a sense of balance right side, left side, so that we could, if we wanted to, lift up here, no hands, so we're not going to fall and drop over towards the right. So just scoot that blanket. It doesn't have to look perfect. Just give yourself a little support underneath your lifted hip. And then draw your hands beneath your shoulders. And this, if that feels challenging for you, you might grab a yoga block or a yoga block or two to lift the floor to you. So hands underneath shoulders, blanket is supporting our hip. Draw the outer edges of your shoulders backwards. Isometrically draw your hands towards your hips. Pull your heart forward, lift your gaze, soften your jaw, maybe find a smile. Breathe deeply here. Good. On an exhale, let's begin to walk your hands forward now. Lower your elbows down to blocks or down to the ground. A few options here coming down. So option one is we could bend into the elbows, draw your palms towards each other, lift your thumbs up, and then rest your forehead onto that shelf that your thumbs make. Option two is you could stack forearm on top of forearm, rest your forehead down there. So whichever is most comfortable. Let yourself go inwards here in this Ekapada Rajakapotasana, in our king pigeon pose, inwards to your breath. So nice deep breathing. Maybe drawing on that color visualization that we've been weaving through our practice today. Maybe the color red, maybe the color orange. Once again, to bring the palms of your hands back to the ground, lift your torso back upwards. Scoot that folded blanket or towel out from beneath your right hip. Curl your back toes under and begin to draw the left knee back in. And then the right knee will come back. Take a nice little down dog, a one-legged down dog to release into that right hip. So lift your hips up and back. Draw your left foot slightly in towards your midline. Sweep your right foot up to the sky. Open your hip to the right. And just find an easy bending, straightening into your lifted leg. Just releasing some of that held tension that we've created on purpose so we can get this release. Next time that right leg is straight, let's rotate hips and toes to point down. Release your right foot to the ground. Bring both knees back down. And we'll set that up on our opposite side. So king pigeon, second side, drawing your left knee in between your hands. Begin to shift left foot towards the left. Left foot towards the right, left knee towards the left. Right toe stay curled under here. Lift your right knee up, lengthen your right leg as long as it wants to go, then uncurl your toes. And here's where we'll take that setup. So inviting your blanket or towel underneath that left hip, finding some balance on this side. You might not need that. Most of us do need a little bit of support though. So give yourself whatever you need here. And then walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Upper body here feels a lot like our cobra pose. So going to draw the outer edges of your shoulders towards the wall behind you. Find that action of isometrically dragging fingers towards your hips. So that means you're making the muscular action to pull your fingers backwards without actually doing so. Pull your heart and eyes upwards. Find your breath here. Maybe find a small smile. One more big inhale here. Exhale, we'll bring it forward. Drop your elbows down. Maybe stack forearm over forearm and lower your head here. Maybe draw your palms towards each other in Anjali Mudra. Rest your head on your thumb. Just come to your breath here. Watch your breath arriving and leaving. Maybe invite in that visualization of red or of orange. And very gently, you begin to lower your hands back to the ground. Walk your palms inwards to lift your torso. Shift that support that you've created beneath your left hip. And we'll slowly draw the right knee in, left knee backwards, coming to our hands and knees. We'll take this into an easy downward dog. So lift your hips up and back. This time, right foot is going to come in towards the midline. Create some space to lift your left heel upwards. Maybe open your hips and knees to the left. Find that bending, straightening on our left side. Next time that left leg is straight, rotate toes, knees, hips to point down. Lower your left toes to the earth. Bring both knees down to the ground. Lift your torso upwards and swing your feet forward. I'm just going to draw the soles of your feet towards each other. Create some space here between your heels and your sit bones and just lean back. Leaning here, heart lifted, gaze lifted. Nice breathing here. Good. Go ahead, press into your hands, lift your hips upwards, scoot your hips closer, walk your hands in, same shape now, just shortening that space between your hips and your heels. And now draw both knees up, draw your knees in towards each other. Shift yourself here back to your back body. So as you come down to your back, hug both knees into your chest, coming back into this space, hugging your knees in, soften your knees side to side. Give yourself that little massage. Good. Lower both feet to the ground. Keep your knees pointing up to the ceiling. We're just going to cross our right knee over our left. So right knee crosses over left. Rocking side to side here. Good. So we might stay here. If this is a strong sensation of stretch for you, go ahead and stay here. If you'd like a little more, we're going to take this into variation of our reclining twist. So press into your left heel, lift your hips up, shift your hips to the right, drop your knees to the left, gaze is going to come to the right. And if this is too much pulling, if you get into it, it just doesn't feel good, go ahead. Your knees. Go ahead, uncross your knee. Sending knee on top of knee. So option to do that or keep that crossed in the knees here. And then an inhale, we'll bring ourselves back towards center. If you chose to take this twist, uncross your legs here, and we'll bring opposite leg uncross on top. So crossing knee over knee, left leg on top of right, and just rocking into the right, rocking into that left hip, right foot rocking side to side. And we might stay exactly here. This might be just what you need. And if that's the case, stay with this motion. If you'd like to go further, still this motion side to side. Press into your right foot, lift both hips up, shift your hips left, knees will come right here, gaze will come left. So just taking this variation of our reclining twist. And always, if this doesn't feel good, just uncross. If it felt good here when you took the twist, it just stopped feeling good, uncross, bring knee over knee. Otherwise, keep that cross and just stay present with your breath. And as we're ready, we'll bring our bodies back towards center. Uncross your knees. Let both legs lengthen long in front of you. Let your hands rest down by your side. Take a big inhale. Exhale with a sigh. We'll do that 2 more times. Big, big inhale here. Hold your breath just a moment at the top of your inhale. Feel that buzz of energy. Yogis call it prana. And then exhale, let your body relax. One more big breath in. Holding, squeezing inward. Let yourself sigh it out. Fully relax here into the support beneath you. Let your body soften. Let your body relax. Let your body be fully supported here in this Shavasana, here in this rest. Begin ever so gently to bring awareness here back to your breath. Find some small movements into your fingers and your toes, your wrists, your ankles. And take a nice big stretch as you're ready. Bring your knees towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself some movement side to side. As you're ready to one side. Bringing yourself here back up to a seat. And bring both palms into your heart as you lower your chin inward. And just take this moment connecting with how you feel physically, energetically, mentally, emotionally. Notice here how your breath is moving in your body. And we'll finish our practice with the sound of Om together. Feel free to listen or to join in. Om. So grateful to share this practice with you this beautiful Wednesday. Namaste.
Stay.